Now, and we thank you everybody for joining us for the panel on grant success stories. My name is Evan Schreiner. I am the tennis conference main contact and host for this. I will be handing it over to Renee Bridges, our Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, here in a minute, but I just wanted to go over a few things before we get started. First off, thank you everybody for joining. We hope you guys learn a lot as we go and dive into a bunch of different things relating to grants and how us and the USTA Foundation can help. Like I said before, continuing education credits will be offered for this session. So please, we will have somebody taking attendance, but it also helps if you can put your first and last name in the chat, followed by whether you're USPTA or PTR certified. Helps us out with all that stuff going forward. If you have any issues with this or you need to follow up, we will be sending correspondence next few weeks. So if you have any questions about certification, whether you were added to a session or not, just email me and we'll let you guys know for sure. If you have any questions as we move throughout the session, please enter them in the Q&A box. We will be getting to your questions later on. We may not get to every question, but we will do our best to get to as many of them as we can and follow up at the end if needed. So with that being said, Renee Bridges, I'm going to hand it on over to you and enjoy.
Great. Thanks, Evan. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tennis Conference Grants Success Stories session. Say that 5 times. Grant Success Stories session. I'm Renee Bridges. I'm the Middle States Section Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. One of my staff responsibilities is managing our section grants, as well as a few national USTA grants. In my role, I've had the pleasure of working with all of our distinguished guest panelists in one way or the other, and particularly as it relates to grants. So without further ado, rather than me introducing them, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And if they could just briefly let us know about their organization, their role within the organization, and how long they've been a part of it, that would be terrific. And we'll start with Carrie Ann.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Ann Hertelin. I'm the Executive Director of Greater Pottstown Tennis and Learning. The organization started in the 1990s as a community tennis association by a gym teacher at the Pottstown School District. I came in about 11 years ago, and 2012, we registered as an NJTL and got our 501c3 nonprofit status. So we are a CTA and an NJTL currently. So we run paid programming and free program outreach, and we run all year long.
Great. Thank you so much. Nancy, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Nancy Wilkins. I'm the Director of Tennis at Ron Jaworski's Riverwinds Golf and Tennis Facility, which is a indoor tennis facility with 5 courts on the Jersey side of Philadelphia. I've been with this club since it opened, probably 19 years ago, and been teaching tennis in the South Jersey area and working in tennis in some capacity for 30 some years. I'll just leave it at some. How old I am.
Young, very young.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan, why don't you go next?
Sounds good. Thanks, Renee. I'm Ryan Nahr. I'm the president of the Conrad Weiser Tennis Association, also director of tennis at the Sinking Spring YMCA. Conrad Weiser Tennis Association is a community tennis association that we founded in 2011 to grow and promote tennis within the Conrad Weiser area and beyond. We cater to not only just after-school programs, but we also utilize cohesively with the Conrad Weiser Area School District for tennis in PE, after-school programs, year-round programming, as well at the Sinking Spring YMCA. So really a beacon of light for the growth of tennis within our community here just outside of Reading, PA.
That's fantastic. And Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Matarasso. I'm the national manager, focused on grants and scholarships, located in Orlando with the USTA Foundation. I've actually been with the foundation since they hired the first executive director. So I started my 20th year in February with the USTA. And I currently manage the capacity building program, the grants and scholarship programs, and whatever else is needed of me. Happy to be here today.
You do it all. Thanks, everyone. Sure. Thanks, everyone. So our session conversation today will include success stories related to grants. And then we'll hear from Jackie Matarasso about the USTA Foundation, NJTLs a little bit, National Junior Tennis and Learning, and those grants. And Jackie has also agreed to help us with best practices for when writing grants, as well as sort of what funders look for in grant applications. So I think that'll be some incredible information and knowledge that she can share with us. And then we'll circle back with Ryan and Carrie Ann, and they will share a little information about the facility assistance grants and how their organizations have benefited from this type of support and funding. So first, let's dive into the Middle States grants, of which I help to oversee. We at Middle States are highly committed to promoting and growing tennis at the local level. And to that end, we offer grants to assist organizations not only initiate program, but to also expand their tennis programming and offerings. And this funding is provided through two types of grants primarily. I mean, we have a number of different grants, but these are the ones we primarily are going to focus on today. And that's the Middle States Program Grant and the Middle States District Grant. Thanks, Evan. For those of you who may or may not be aware, the Middle States sections has 6 districts: Allegheny Mountain, Central Pennsylvania, the Delaware District, Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, as well as the Philadelphia Area Tennis District. The Middle States Program Grant dollar award amount ranges from as little as $100 up to about $4,000. And the award amount is varies depending upon the scope and the size of the grant applicant's tennis initiative. The district grant dollar amount is maxed out at $750. It is really important for me to note at this time that prior to applying for a Middle States grant of any kind, all applicants, along with their organization's lead coaches who work with youth under the age of 18, must all have their background checks completed and safe play approved. And that's really important to us. We like you to have that before you even begin filling out the grant application. So that's a very important factor in our grants. In addition to the safe play requirements, I highly recommend that the grant applicants reach out to their district TSR, tennis service representative, to discuss their organization's need for funding support prior to starting the grant application process. Our TSRs are asked to review and weigh in on grant applications pertaining to their district. So the more they know about an organization's need for grant funding, the better they can assist you in getting that funding. And just an FYI, all of this information I'm telling you about our grants can be found on the Middle States website. So, or if you're familiar with their TSR, they can also provide you with this information. So now that you know a little more about the Middle States grants process, I'd like to have our panelists share some grant success stories. And we'll start again with Carrie Ann. And Carrie Ann, I do have a question to ask of you. I know that early last year, 2019, Greater Pottstown, affectionately known as GPTL, received a $2,500 grant for a middle school team. Can you tell us how you've utilized that grant and how you got the middle school team up and running?
Yeah, so those are pictures of our Pottstown Middle School team. And how that came about is we've been providing free after school programming for 8 years at the middle school. And we really had a big following of kids that really started to enjoy tennis. So, we wanted to even the playing field. There's middle school teams around us. So we thought, well, why don't we create a team that these kids can really start to compete at a younger age, which will help them be more competitive in high school, which is usually a disadvantage for lower income school districts. So what we did is we partnered with the school district, and by partnering, we could fund a larger scale boys and girls middle school team. So GPTL funded the coaches, the equipment, and the uniforms. And I actually believe the funding for the school team was written from the school district. They went and got a USTA membership, and they then were awarded the scholarship for transportation, which is a huge issue for urban schools, is providing transportation. So by teaming up, we were able to fund a fall team and a spring team, and the girls did really well. They beat a team in this area that is very well known for tennis, Methacton, and they beat them. So it was a historic day for the Pottstown School District.
Well, maybe they have a really great coach. Maybe that's what it is. That's great to know. So it was done through although I said Greater Pottstown, it was really done through the school district. And
yeah, it was done through collaboration, and sometimes you don't have enough money to do these things, but through kind of brainstorming on how can we do this for the impact of developing new tennis players. These girls that you're looking at would never be able to afford tennis lessons. So we were able to go into the school and partner with the school for 8 years, but we couldn't get them to competitive matches because of transportation. So by having a school team, the parents didn't even have to pick them up at 5 p.m. They went home on the school bus that was already paid for through the district.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I know that you are quite adept at getting funding from different sources. So I would love for you to give us a little more information about what's happening with Greater Pottstown and the complex that I've heard so much about, which is where a facility where you hold your after school programming, and how you've been able to fund an educational wing to get all this done. I mean, you're not only do you utilize USTA grants, but you use a number of other different resources and partnerships to help fund a lot of this programming. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So I'll say this about grant writing, and I had to learn this over my, almost 11 years in the nonprofit world. Grant writing isn't about just applying for a grant and hoping that you are awarded money by someone that's never known the organization or the person running the organization. So, getting awarded grants is about trust from the funder and, your organization. So I think having relationships and getting in front of people is the first step in getting awarded. I mean, Jackie will agree to this, that, you really have to have a relationship because, the foundations or the funder have worked hard to raise that money themselves. So who they give funding to, they need to trust and know that the funding is going to be utilized, to the most efficiently. So I would say build relationships first. The money comes second. So when we build our facility, we built 3 new courts, and then we also have an education center. So we partnered with a local businessman that took over the old Pottstown YMCA, and he sat down. He had the beginnings of a vision, and I connected him with a bunch of partners that I thought would work for our educational enrichments. And we made a deal to take over a wing that had many offices and classrooms. And then what we did is we built the partners from there. So the YMCA is in there, the YWCA is in there.
I think we have a picture of the partners. I think we have a photo of your various partners and partnerships. Is that right there? Is that the complex?
And the previous picture of the kids on the tennis courts with the building in the back, well, that's our almost 100,000 square foot building that we're in. And these are the Pottstown High School courts. So it all kind of worked out that they can play tennis and then get educational enrichment. So again, through partnerships, I couldn't go, raising money to, bring in a STEM coordinator or a fitness coordinator or a karate coordinator. So what we did is we built relationships and brought in existing businesses, private and nonprofit, and those are the existing. And also the hospital has since moved in. So you have nutrition, you have cross training, you have YWCA with all kinds of enrichment, STEM, karate, tennis, and then through that there's another flyer you can show, Renee. We build after school programs. So this is our newest virtual one, and you can see those partners are now part of our after school programs. And I didn't have to go out and raise all this money to fund this. I built the relationships that people want to be part of it.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been at this? I mean, has this been 11 years in the making, or is some of this fairly new for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is years of building relationships. This doesn't happen overnight. So sometimes you meet someone and you shelf it and you say, oh, we can partner in something else. And at the end of the day, people have to want to be around you and want to trust you, and you have to trust them, and it has to be a mutual beneficial in order. And what we're doing now is together we're writing larger grants. So through all these programs, now we're writing national grants, which is a bigger pull. Greater Pottstown Tennis or a small tennis organization is not going to get a large grant at national level. But when you put all of these enrichments together and you have a bigger impact of students, then you can write larger grants.
And you in small town America, small town Pottstown did this. So you think others should be able to possibly implement something as this as well. Maybe not on this level, but certainly begin to develop those partnerships so they can strive to do the same. And I think you're right. And maybe Jackie, when she talks to us, can talk about the importance of having a variety of funders and support mechanisms and partners. So this is quite incredible, Carrie Ann, and thank you for sharing that with us. Just one more thing. I know, and I know you mentioned that your organization is both a CTA and an NJTL. Can you just give us a little bit of information as to how that works for you all at Pottstown?
Right. So we are a low cost tennis year round, and players that can pay do. And then what we do is we scholarship our NJTL players into those programs. So it's really, immersing in inclusion of, surrounding families and our families that can't afford it. And no one knows, they're all friends. It's mutual beneficial on both ends. And we say playing is giving. So all of our CTA families potentially are business sponsors, board members, or donors, and they're making lifelong friends. And I'll say this about grant writing as well. Jackie will agree to this. I love to leverage funding. And so once you get even a small amount of funding, you go to another funder and say, hey, I got this from this funder. Do you want to be part of it? Because funders don't want to be the only funder in the game. They want to ensure that there's other equity by other people. So, you know, you go back to whatever foundations locally and say, USTA gave me this, will you match it?
Fantastic. Carrie Ann, thanks for sharing all that with us. We really,
Thanks for
really
having me.
appreciate. I've been a big fan of Greater Pottstown for quite a while, and you've done an incredible job. I can't believe it's 11 years. It's hard to that we've known each other, but it's pretty incredible. So thank you. Next, let's move on to Nancy. Nancy, so what was your first experience with a USTA grants, and you know, and particularly as it relates to your adaptive program? And I know we have a photo of that as well, and maybe we can cue that. There we go.
Yeah, work. Well, I was working a lot with Special Olympics and been doing a lot of tennis work with them for years when I became involved with the USTA. So we were asked if we had any ideas for pilot programs for the New Jersey district, which is where I started my work with USTA. And we have in Special Olympics a program that we called Unified Sports, which in tennis would be you and a special athlete against me and a special athlete in a doubles format. So we started a program with a New Jersey district grant. We created a format for tennis tournaments. We wanted it to be have a finite beginning and ending so that we could sell it to indoor clubs in this area because courts are at a premium in the wintertime. So we wanted to be able to be assured that the tournament would finish at a certain time. So we came up with a specific format that we use, which is pretty simple. It's just 2 groups of 5, 10 doubles teams, 2 groups of 5. Everybody plays everybody in their group, 1 round. And it's a timed match. And then the winners of those play off for the final. Excuse me. So we got money and used that to pay for court time and trophies. And that kind of incentivized clubs in the area. If we could offer them money to run one of these tournaments, it was very simple to run once you knew how. The format was all written down so we could just send everything to them, and it was very, very simple. So that's how it all started.
Great. And how did it evolve? How has the program evolved since that start?
Well, since I was on the New Jersey district, I was lucky enough to become a member of the National Adaptive Committee, which has been a great honor to be part of. So we were tasked, the participants in Florida at a tournament that we're going to be talking about. We were tasked with coming up with more play for people with special needs, more options, more availability for play for those with special needs. So I talked to a lot of the people on our committee and some people at some of our national meetings. I think I saw Cindy Benson on the call. She was one of our recruits, and we decided to try to implement that New Jersey pilot program into a national adaptive championship. So it turned into quite a tournament. And what you're seeing on your screen now is everybody who competed at the last national championships, which was last October, I believe, at Columbus Day. So we've had two tournaments so far. It turned into groups of 16 to 20 doubles teams. And one of the things that we didn't anticipate was there were more people that flew into Florida to watch the tournament than there were who actually played in the tournament. So we had quite a big cheer squad there. Like to make sure we mention Yasmin Osborne too, because she she did a tremendous job of helping us get this off the ground. In fact, it wouldn't have happened without her help. But with our second grant that we used to get this national program started, Renee helped me get that grant, and we used it for a qualifying tournament that we had here at the club where I worked. We had it catered. We paid for the courts. We paid for trophies. We paid for the tennis balls, and then we had enough money that we could give the athletes gift cards. I think it was $100 or $200 gift cards that they got to help pay for their transportation to and from the national campus for the event itself. So it was a big success for those 2 years.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I know
Well, you came the first year.
I was there. I was going to say, and I can't believe that was 2018. It's been,
Yep.
It seems like it was just yesterday. And unfortunately, there were plans to run it again this year in October, but COVID stepped in and got in the way. But Nancy, I got to give you a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, I know that this national adaptive championship, I mean, you give Yasmin a lot of credit, but it's really your brainchild. And you are the one who really made it happen. So kudos to you. As I said, unfortunately, we're not able to have our championship this year, but where does the program stand now? Next step?
Well, you know, unfortunately, we sent out an email to all the participants from last year to see what they would consider coming this year. And unbelievably enough to me, half of them would have come, which just blew me away. I was shocked. But half of them would have come. We had to make the decision to cancel it this year. But thanks to Yasmin, we already have our court schedule for 2021. So it will happen again next year as long as COVID cooperates.
Yeah.
And the other picture that Evan had up there was there you go, the award winners. We had 5 different groups of 5, 5 groups of 4, I guess it was. And everybody, those were the top teams. Those were the top teams that won on the last day, the final day.
And I know the young lady in the orange skirt is not a Middle States person, but she's quite a remarkable young lady and quite a remarkable tennis player. Can you give us a little information about her and her tennis career?
She's truly amazing. She works out like 5 hours a day. I believe that the gentleman to her right, Liam, is her coach. Her name is Brittany Tagliarini. She's from Florida. She lives about 45 minutes from the campus. Excuse me. And plays tennis all the time. But she's been in Special Olympics, national games, and won that event several times. She's also gone to World Games and won some events there. So you wouldn't want to play her. She's and a very, very good competitor.
Highly
Hits the ball
competitive.
well, like she rips the topspin, but she's a very good competitor as well.
Yeah, she's quite amazing. Well, thank you for that, Nancy. That's just remarkable. And again, huge credit to you and all that you do in the Special Olympics and adaptive tennis arena. The USTA is really very fortunate to have you on the adaptive committee. So thanks for everything. Appreciate that.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure, and it's an honor to be working with people that are my heroes every day.
Yeah, amazing. All righty, let's take it on over to Ryan. Ryan, can you sort of give us an idea of the impact that grants have had over the years for your programming at Conrad Weiser Tennis Association? I know that's a broad question and we'll narrow it down, but just give us an idea. And I know we have some photos of your facility as well. So look at that. Wow. Very impressive. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you know, we started this whole thing, Conrad Weiser Tennis Association, in 2011 as a 501c3 community tennis association. And when we looked at doing things, we had to realize what we were working with. And this is my hometown. I was born and bred here, and it was never a tennis community. There was never a real interest in tennis. There were definitely some individuals that had some success, but as a collaborative community, to give an example, the high school team had 3 winning seasons in 55 years. So up until when I actually came in as a player, and then the teams improved, but I went to college, came back, and I said, I want to build something really, really special here for our entire community, not just just for tennis players, but also in the classroom, on the court, and in the community. And to do that, it was pretty simple. A couple things had to happen. Number one, we needed to really work collaboratively with the USTA's programs and initiatives and grants. We also needed the facility to be improved, and that was one of the first things. So everything you see there on the screen, we got a national USTA grant for the facility, and then also with Middle States as well. And then we also raised through donors an additional large sum of money for the lights. So all 5 courts were redone, and we wanted to do something very different. We wanted something to give that wow factor that if you build it, they will come. And we were able to do that. And you can see we have the big stencils, we have the blue on blue, we have the blended lines, and then we have lights on all 5 courts with ATP quality lighting. So, that really was the first step of understanding that and how we've grown throughout the years to offer tennis in PE to all 1,200 students within our district. All of our PE teachers are part of the net generation and certified and involved. 2 elementary schools, a middle school, and our high school. And we average about 45 to 55 kids that play tennis year round that are greatly influenced by the grants that we're able to receive from USTA and then also from some of our outside donors as well. So, and the high school teams have started. And again, we didn't want to accept mediocrity. We weren't just going to try to be, 8 and 8 and 9. We wanted to build an elite tennis culture here and do something really, really special with something that we call our Pyramid of Success feeder program, which starts by getting all 1,200 kids and continuing to build that pyramid all the way up and bringing it through all the way for kids going to college. And not only has the high school teams prospered, our girls team has been undefeated the last 3 years and have gone to win county championships, district finals, playing AAA tennis against big schools, some of the big schools in the state, but also our boys team, undefeated the last 2 years, made it to the state final. And you would have said that 10 years ago, it would have been, the absolute pipe dream to do that. But it was all based on trusting the process, utilizing the resources and grants that we had at our disposal, and be able to collaborate with our school district, our CTA, and our community to build something really, really special. So that's how we've kind of started our tennis revolution up here in our community.
Well, it's really impressive, and you really have built quite the progressive pathway. And you said you start with tennis and PE, and you go from there. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, we start with tennis in PE, and we have some great physical education teachers that, understand what that progressive pathway is and what we're trying to grow the game and get kids out after school to many after school programs as possible year round. And, give kids the opportunity to use tennis as a pathway. I think one of the probably the most important stat that we have is, the national average for student athletes that go to college and play a sport or even get, money athletically or academically is less than 5% across all different sports. The last 5 years, the kids that we started in 2011 through 2013, 2014 in the elementary and middle school, those kids are now in high school and are going to college. 40% of the kids that are in our program are going and playing college tennis. On varsity teams. And we have even more. If you put that into tennis on campus, that number goes up to over 50%. So, we're making a difference. We're showing that it can be done if you're willing to invest. Again, creating a culture like this doesn't take weeks or months. It takes years or decades. And we're just blessed to be able to partner with the USTA and work collaboratively to be able to put these great opportunities on for the people of our community.
Well, it's quite impressive. It seems like you've been at this for about 20 years, but I know you're not that old, so I take it that this didn't take you very long. You know, when can you say that you aggressively started working with this? Has it been, you know, 10 years or in the making, or less than that?
Yeah, I mean, it was less than that, honestly. We started in 2011, 2012, and we got that first group of younger kids. And again, the interest level with the parents seeing that and then them buying in. And like I said, the grants, being able to hire a staff, a lot of part-time staff, a lot of summer staff, but being able to do that and also not just offer tennis during the school years and during that type of year, but also in the summers to run a full-blown summer program that we can offer kids to come from all around our community, all around Berks County, Lebanon County, anybody that's surrounding, that we want to be as inclusive as possible with bringing other people in and doing that, running programs, events, our Big Hits for Hope tournament, the largest tournament in the state, giving back and playing for something bigger than yourself each year. Again, it's bringing people on site, it's bringing people to our community, and it's, you know, it's able to show when our kids are able to go out to various events, organizations, a college day or anything, that Conrad Weiser Tennis Association, you know, is doing things in our three assets on the court, in the classroom, and in the community to give our kids the best opportunities to be successful.
Incredible and successful you are. So, you know, what kind of advice would you give to someone looking to start a CTA or a community tennis association, and how possibly how the grants can help with that, but just any advice that you can offer given the success you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. And Carrie made a great point earlier about the relationships and building that. And that's such a huge part of it, not just, you know, from a CTA level, but from a school perspective. And we've been lucky to have that great relationship with my involvement with the school district and growing up here and being part of that and having that. But I would say the biggest thing is you got to be able to promote your brand, promote yourself. You know, social media is huge. Website, we're trying to constantly be able to put that out there and put ourselves and what we're doing and what the kids are doing and their success stories, put that out through social media. And then also being able to offer that through telling those stories, not just be able to have it, you know, talked about or in an article or anything, but being able to have a lot of video and a lot of different things and have the kids go out and talk about, you know, why this program is part of who they are. So, you know, I think being able to tell the story and put it out there through social media and media, it also helps with the grants as well, not just obviously USTA grants aside, but also getting other donors and other people to want to give back when they see it and they can be here and they can be a part of something on site, whether that's an event or a community gathering. We want to be as inclusive as possible with doing that. And then on the USTA end, you know, the biggest thing is just being able to grow it from the, like I said, our base is our numbers hit our base, our 1,200 kids. You know, the first time, that first year we had those courts, they have this field day event and with all the schools, and it's one day, and the tennis would usually get 40, 50 kids. Well, we came out with those blue courts. The next field day we had 190, 200 kids. Kids are lining up. We have, you know, a fifth of the school waiting around the tennis courts because they see those courts. They see what we're doing. It's bringing the energy. We're bringing that positive light, and the kids know that they're part of something special. And again, it's not about us trying to market it and trying to be there as directors or coaches or anything. When the kids start to come together and the kids start wanting to be part of this, and they're the ones that are telling their friends and everything, and that's the excitement that's building, that's how we're able to grow the game. And that's where, you know, we've had that success is people want to be part of something really special, no matter how small or large that is. And we've kind of been able to I guess, capture that in a very unique way in our community.
just incredible. And if the kids are feeling and excited, then the parents just follow suit, because the parents are thrilled to have their kids that excited about something like this. So it's absolutely beautiful and incredibly successful. I'm going to loop back to you and Carrie Ann after we hear from Jackie, just to talk a little bit about the facility assistance grant that you mentioned. And then we have a couple of other pictures of the tennis courts with the lights. So we'll have to, that are pretty, there you go. Voila, just like magic. And just absolutely beautiful. So kudos to you for that. So we'll come back to Ryan, we'll come back to Carrie Ann, but let's move on to Jackie Matarazzo. And Jackie, for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about the USTA Foundation, its evolution, and sort of what it funds? And then we'll move into some other questions.
Okay, great. Sure. The USTA Foundation is the charitable arm of the USTA. It is a separate organization. It's a 501c3. The USTA is a 501c6. Right now, we are primarily supporting NJTL programs, NJTL chapters. We don't 100% fund NJTLs because we can do more, but that is our primary focus and preference right now. Foundation was activated about 20 years ago when they hired the first executive director. That's about the time that I came in. And we have really grown over these years, both financially and in staff. So we're just continuing to support those communities in need. I know the USTA does give back a lot to community tennis and supports a lot of recreational play. Our goal is to bring tennis to those that might not have the opportunity to play. Opportunity as in access and financially. So it's our job to help introduce tennis to those young people around the country.
Yeah, one of the other hats I wear in my staff role is that of NJTL liaison. So I've, over the years, have seen the incredible work that the foundation does and the support it lends to NJTL. So I've seen it firsthand, and it's quite remarkable. And just a side note, the executive director of the USTA Foundation is one of our own, Dan Faber, who was, prior to joining the foundation, the executive director of an NJTL of Trenton. So for those who may not know. Can you give us a little idea of how you become an NJTL? I get asked that question a lot, so I'll throw it to you.
Sure. It's changed a bit, just due to the fact, that we have a big group of chapters now in our network, more than 250. And we've been busy building criteria for those NJTL to follow when they enroll each year that is helping them to become more sustainable as well. So there is a questionnaire that one would complete to become an NJTL. But I want to go back to something everyone said, which is the relationships and the collaboration. Again, I think the key, and I think our preference would be those that are interested in NJTL would contact their section, for example, you, and say, I'm interested, where you would then be the first sort of person they would speak to, and you would sort of feel out, is this the right community they want to serve, and do they have the tennis and the educational components? And then the next step would be for them to reach out to us. And we have a mailbox, njtl@usta.com, that you would email and say, I'm interested. And one of us would call and walk through the steps and then have that enrollment questionnaire completed to have that organization join the network.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks. So just while we have you, and I know I can't even imagine how many grants you look at every year. Just give us some idea of what you as a funder are looking for in a grant proposal. And if you can also, I'll just add the other question, sort of what best practices you would recommend when someone is writing a grant. Now, our middle states grants are not that complex, But again, we're encouraging folks to look outside of the USTA for funding. So what kinds of best practices would you recommend, and what are you looking for?
Well, I would say from the foundation perspective, we're looking for organizations that are working in underserved communities that want to provide this opportunity and access to youth. The measurement of how we define underserved is the group of student athletes that you want to support should be 51% diverse. That's sort of the line. If you're serving a population with at least 51% underserved and diverse youth, then that is that main criteria as far as that piece. We are looking for an application, I would say from the foundation perspective again, that clearly outlines what the objectives are for your proposal. How will it be measured? What is the budget? Does the budget make sense? I need to slow down because I don't want to get carried away, but there are some, we've done this before, Carrie Ann knows this, pet peeves that sometimes funders have. Make sure that your ask makes sense. If your entire budget is $50,000, don't ask for $50,000. Typically, funders don't fund more than 20% of the project budget. We don't, stick to that. We're not as hard there. Sometimes we do give a little more, but that's pretty much, I think, a standard too, 20%. Again, I go back to relationships. Develop that relationship. You want to have a proposal that has many partners, such as the school district, the parks and rec, or a local community organization. And I think that partnerships are very key and a very important piece of what we look for. We want to make sure you have the support of the section. We want to make sure you have the support of the school district or parks and local officials and community leaders as well. That will make for a sustainable program. And then diversify your revenue. Don't just come to the USTA Foundation or the USTA. Try to seek funding from other sources. Diversity of revenue is extremely important to being sustainable, and that's what we want. We don't want to fund someone and then 2 years later the organization is gone. We want to make a sound investment in an organization that hopefully will continue to do the good work that we know that they do. Our grants range from 5 to up to 40,000. When you register, you're put into a level, and that's our star level system. So network members, 1 star and 2 stars can apply for up to $25,000. And 3 and 4 stars can apply for up to 40, which is some significant dollars in helping out those larger organizations. Just as a general rule, I say if you're going to approach a funder, do your homework. Look into what does the funder support. If you want to fund a project, but the funder you're going to has no interest in that. What it is that you want to do, they're probably not going to fund you. So make sure that your missions are aligned and that, they believe in what it is that you're doing. The pet peeves, don't ask for an extension. There's a deadline for a reason. That we work off of a schedule, and a lot of people do that. They wait until the last minute, which I know is just pretty much the way things are in the grants world. Again, make sure your amount makes sense for what you're asking for. Proofread your grant application and make sure your attachments are relevant and updated. And then just in general, I would say, when you go to a funder, what is the problem that you're hoping to address? And are you bringing the solution? And if so, what are the tactics and objectives that you're going to use to come up to reach that solution? What else can I tell you? Or why don't you ask me another question?
No, I was going to say, no, you are spitting gems there. That's really,
Sorry.
No, that's great. That's great information. I'm really excited to hear that some of your pet peeves are similar to ours. I was feeling pretty good about how much we gave until you informed us that the foundation gives somewhere between $5,000 and $40,000. That's a lot of money. So, and I know.
On Tuesday, we had a committee meeting. Our grants committee voted on our recent round of funding, which was partially emergency funding for organizations that have been affected by COVID, as well as we're hoping a return to programming. A lot of folks are opening now, or at least doing virtual. And we awarded 100 organizations across the country $1.6 million last week.
Ooh.
So, we're really making a huge impact on some really tough communities around the country.
Yeah.
And they're just, they're doing amazing work. And many of them are in middle states, like Carrie Ann, for example.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. We have some incredible organizations doing some great work here in our section. I know believe it or not, the hour goes very quickly. We have about, Jackie, thank you so much for that. We have about 10 minutes left. I just want to quickly loop back to Ryan and Carrie Ann, if you want to chime in as well, just very quickly, if you all could share with us, what a facility assistance grant is and how you've benefited. And then after you all finish, I think we do have a couple questions in the Q&A. So either Ryan or Carrie Ann, take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Renee. I'll go quick here. But essentially, a facility assistance grant allows for the assistance for the refurbishment and renovation of a tennis court. There's 3 different tiers: a Cat 1, a Cat 2, and a Category 3. And those, depending on how much assistance you need or how involved the renovation project is, the USTA gives that at the national level, and then you're also able to get some funding at middle states with a percentage of that goes back. My experience with that was I applied for our first facility assistance 7 years ago with Conrad Weiser Tennis Association, with the facility you see in front of us. And it was a pretty involved process. Again, I was 23 applying for this grant, and I'm like, what is, this is 70 some pages, and it was definitely a lot more involved then. I know it's been streamlined since then. And it's a lot, it was a very complex process, but at the same time, once you get through it once and you're able to go through everything, and you're able to go through with the subcontractors, and you're able to go through that entire process of getting everything looked at and examined and seeing what you have to do and the different protocols and the bid process and everything, it becomes a little bit more streamlined. And since then, we also had another facility at the Sinking Spring YMCA, and I've also worked collaboratively through the years with Renee Lenz and Kathy Schock in EPD, and doing also some stuff with CPD to go out to other communities and kind of tell my story and how that process has worked and that success story and how it can work in your community as well. So, it's definitely, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And like you said, it's about building those relationships and understanding what it takes within that process to get a national or, a facility assistance grant.
Fantastic. Well said. Thank you so much, Ryan. Carrie Ann, did you want to add anything else, or?
Well, I'd say prior to even submitting anything to the USTA for facility assistance, I would make sure that if you are doing courts in a school or public park or on government land, you understand the timeline with dealing with public entities. It's not that easy to build tennis courts. So these are the 3 courts that we did in Pottstown, Maple Street Park. It took 2 years, which apparently was record time to get them built. So you're dealing with, government land, so as well as school districts. So, you're definitely going to have to build relationships with the superintendent, the borough manager, the chief of police, whoever it is that is going to pass that through. You need to build those relationships so that they can vote yes to build them.
Exactly. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A. Hopefully we have a couple minutes to answer them. I'm not sure who's overseeing the Q&A for us, but
I am, and you do have a question. What is the process for inquiring about grants related to tenant underlines and court remodeling for commercial clubs? I do think that might have been answered, but that's the question we have.
well, then I'm going to pass that on to Ryan, who's done the courts with the tenant underlines. Ryan, are you able to answer that question?
Yeah, no, I can answer that in a nutshell. So yeah, for the National Facility Assistance, the Middle States grants, and even I know at the district level, I don't know if I'm just pretty sure it might be all the districts, but they actually have a process where if you have existing courts and you want to get blended lines, whether that's 48-foot or the 36-foot court, the blended lines, that there's available funding to do that. You know, obviously, when you do the national grant and you add on the blended lines, it obviously gives the opportunity to play 3 different court sizes, the regular size, and the 2 smaller sizes as well. And it's just a great utilization to be able to offer multi-court sizes within a tennis facility. So doing that again is all part of the process and doing that. And if you want to add just the lines to an existing facility, that's something you can do at the sectional level or the district level to get that type of funding support, which again, it adds a great complement to, whether it's a 60-foot line or 36-foot to your existing courts. And my big thing is make sure those lines are blended. There's a lot of great court builders out there. There's a lot of great ones out there, but there's a few, if they don't blend them, it becomes an eyesore versus having it as a blended line. So my biggest thing is make sure it's a blended line and not a line that stands out that's going to become more of a hindrance than a great asset.
Great point, and well taken. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much for answering that question. And with that, I think we are, at the end of our hour. So I just want to thank all of my panelists for sharing the success stories as well as their knowledge with us today. And a big shout out to all those who joined us for this session. I hope you've learned something, and please, if you have any questions about Middle States grants, please feel free to reach out anytime, or you can find that information on our website. Thanks, everyone. Great job. Hour went faster than I thought it would, so we appreciate it. And Evan, thank you so much for everything.
No problem. Renee, thank you so much for moderating that. And like Renee just said, really appreciate all the input from you guys. You guys are rock stars for us. And so we're definitely really happy to have you guys, helping out Middle States and helping out National any way that possible. So we really appreciate it. And, if anybody has any questions or anything, you can shoot me an email and I can reach out to our panelists about it. But yeah, that wraps up today as far as all the sessions go, but we've got a couple player development ones tomorrow we're looking forward to. And we hope you guys attend those. And if you have any questions or anything along the lines, just let us know. But really appreciate it. And we hope everybody has a great rest of the day.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you guys.